So I just found out that I have a somewhat rare condition found in less than 5% of adults called persistent awareness of physiological diplopia. So physiological diplopia is something that everybody with two eyes has. Basically, both eyes, think of these like cameras, where you can think of cameras as being like eyes. So they both capture an image of the world, right? But the way that it's hard for me to even talk about or explain this because it's so fundamental to how I see the world. Like, I've never experienced it any other way. It's like trying to explain to a blind person what the color blue is. You know, somebody who was born blind has never seen blue, and you're trying to explain. Okay, so apparently, for normal people, and I just found this out, and if you have normal vision, then it's gonna be insane to you that I didn't know this. But what normal people see in the world is one image, and then things that are in the foreground or the background are out of focus. Because the brain, basically, your brain picks a dominant eye and then shows you the image out of that eye and then uses the other one for depth perception. And then some people are, and they're like orally, or ocularly is the word I was looking for. They're ocularly ambidextrous, where the brain doesn't have a strong preference one way or the other, or it'll pick, one eye for up close and the other one for far away. But in my case, I don't have a dominant eye at all. But then the persistent awareness thing is even more rare. So basically, I see both images all the time. Like, I'm looking at the camera right now. My eyes are focused at the camera. I see two copies of my finger. Whereas, if you are right eye dominant, then, like, the finger would appear to the left of the camera if I had normal vision and I were right eye dominant. If I were left eye dominant, then it would be like this, and it would appear to the right of the camera. But, so, because, like, the thing is, they say the way to test this is to do like that and then center something in the triangle. So, I center the camera in the triangle, and then I close one eye, and if the camera moves out of the triangle, then I know that I've closed the dominant eye. But for me, I can't do this test. I literally cannot do this test because I cannot center something in the triangle. Because if I focus on the camera, then the triangle is doubled. And if I focus on the triangle, then the camera is doubled. So when I center it in the triangle, in the doubled triangle, it's not that, if I were to center it with the right eye, well then, but if I were to center it with the left eye, but if I have both eyes open and I center it, I'm not centering on either eye. So this is like the only way that I can demonstrate through a video. This is what centering the triangle looks like for me. It's centered on my freaking nose. And this is the part that really blew my ass out of the water. Apparently, most people can't see their nose. Like, your brain edits this out. You can't see this. You can't see your nose. How do I... So, I can see my nose at all times. In fact, the bridge of my nose forms like a frame around my field of vision. And so, like, I know where my periphery begins. My periphery is like... So, what this does is, like I said, the bridge of my nose creates a frame around my field of vision, and then I can actually see the periphery, whereas for most people, they don't see where the periphery begins. There's just sort of a blur, because the nose gets edited out. It's like a vignette, whereas for me it's a literal frame. And so the effect is that most people, their vision just immerses them directly into the world. But me, I feel like I live inside my head. And so apparently this actually gives me a better reference point for where my head is oriented. Which is crazy to think about, because I'm imagining, like, if I couldn't see my nose, then it makes sense. I wouldn't technically know where my head is pointed. You know? I would just sort of intuit that through proprioception. But my proprioception actually doesn't play as strong a role as it does for most people, because I just have visual cues for that. So, like, it's very easy for me to look somebody, you know, straight on, dead straight on. It's so weird. It's so weird trying to explain this, because I never knew that this was abnormal. I mean, so there was this trick when I was a kid. They're like, okay, you put your two fingers like this, about an inch apart, and then you focus on something past them, and then you see like a floating double-ended finger in the middle. But the thing is, I can do this. I don't have to focus on something past. I can just do this. I can cross my eyes, you know, or I can unfocus them. But the thing is, for me, I don't see a floating finger in the middle. I see the entire doubled image. So I see 4 fingers here. I see 2 copies of this one, and I see 2 copies of this one. And so when I do that, and I overlap them, it's like I'm just doing geometry at that point. It doesn't look like magic. It just looks like, oh yeah, well that makes sense because the images are overlapping. I know exactly where they're overlapping. It's wild trying to imagine and explain this. And yeah, I don't know what to make of this. I wonder how much of a role this is. Well, obviously I wonder how different would the world look if I didn't have this going on. Like if my brain was doing all the editing that most people's brains are doing, but for some reason mine is not. For some reason my brain just shows me both images. And so, and apparently there are people who oh, so try this. Cross your eyes. If you can cross your eyes, then apparently that is how you can. When you manually cross your eyes, your brain has a hard time doing the editing. So that, like, all that stuff comes back and comes into your field of vision. You'll see double, and you might see your nose too. And then you can see how I have seen the world my entire life. And apparently, if you're not used to it, then seeing the world that way is very confusing. But for me, it's just how I have always seen the world. I've always seen double. Like, I can focus on something. Like, if I focus on this Pringles can, I'm not seeing double. I'm just seeing the Pringles can. But everything in front of, everything closer or farther from it is doubled. So yeah, because I was always confused about, like, what does it mean, a dominant eye? You know, how do people... I remember just, like, reading stuff like this, these tests, you know, how to figure out which eye is dominant. And I would read this and I'd be like, that just doesn't make sense. And now I understand it. It's because my brain is not doing something that I guess it's technically supposed to do. It's like a glitch. It's like my brain is defective almost. But it's also kind of an advantage in some things. So, like, if I put the Pringles can, okay, so here's the Pringles can. I'm focused on the Pringles can. At this point, I know if I bring my hand any closer to the right, then the Pringles can, like, my left eye will not be able to see the Pringles can. So I'm looking at it. I can see the Pringles can, but I can also see my hand in front of it. Because the hand is doubled, but my eyes are focused on the Pringles can. Even though only my right eye can see it. And so, like, for stuff like this, like, I guess most people just, they would just see, you know, if you're right eye dominant, then you would just see your hand next to the Pringles can, and your hand is kind of blurry because it's out of focus. But for me, I see both images. But so most people wouldn't know how much they have to move their hand, or how far they have to move their head in order to see the Pringles can with both eyes. Whereas I know exactly how far, just that much. And I know that, it's not like I know that intuitively, I know that visually, because I can see it happening. And I'm sitting here explaining this, and it's so bizarre to explain something that you've never had to understand, because it's just always been there. Explaining something that you've never had to explain that she didn't know needed to be explained. Oh God. I was so I was talking to AI figuring this out, and I was asking it questions about wait, so what do normal people see? And that was where I said, when I said earlier, cross your eyes and you'll see what I have seen my whole life. The last question I asked AI was, what do normal people see when they cross their eyes? Because for me, it's not, I can cross my eyes at will. I can unfocus them at will, I'm doing it now. I'm looking at my nose right now. Um, so yeah, the AI said when most people with normal vision, when people with normal vision cross their eyes, that's when the brain stops doing all that automatic editing and stops filtering out the nose, and they see the double images, but for them they don't, even if you cross your eyes, you're not seeing it the way that I'm seeing it because I've seen it my whole life. So for me, I understand what I'm seeing when I cross my eyes. I can cross my eyes this far, and I still understand what I'm seeing. My right eye is. I think the vision in my right eye is a lot worse than in my left. But I don't have a dominant eye. And yeah, so I had to make a video about this because I'm telling you, it's so freaking weird to figure out that the way you have always, it's vision is such a fundamental thing to your experience in the world if you have it. It's if you were to find out that I don't know, I'm trying to think of something to compare this to. It's if you were to find out that most people can hear, if you were to find out that most people couldn't hear the sun, right? But you can. You can hear the sun, and then you go on the Google AI chat and you say, hey, is it true that most people can't hear the sun? And the AI is like, oh yeah, well, I mean, technically everybody hears the sun, but most people aren't aware of it. That's the kind of thing that I'm going through. It's wait, so everybody sees these, everybody, because they have two eyes, they are technically, their brain is receiving both images, but they are not processing both of them, and they're not, even if they are processing both of them, they're not consciously, I'm having a hard time keeping track of all these thoughts. Most people are not persistently aware of it. It's and the AI was asking me questions about how do you, have you noticed that this affects you in such and such a situation? And I'm just sitting there thinking I have never noticed that it affects me in any situation ever because I have never had another frame of reference to compare this to. So anyway, I have apparently I have a wider field of vision. Like I can see both of my hands right now, and let me turn this way so you get a better idea of what I mean by how wide this field of vision is. Alright, so if the camera's here, yeah, I can see it. I can still see my hand. If I turn my head this much, I can still see my hand. If I mean, I'm pointing my eye to the left as far as I can in order to see it, but so I don't know. Maybe that part is not that abnormal. Let me know in the comments. If you have normal vision, please let me know in the comments. Do this experiment with your, see how far. Like if I really try, I can get my head this far and I can still see my hand. If I wiggle it, I can still see it up to this far. Which is, I mean, I feel like I'm pointing my head like backwards at that point. So do that experiment. Let me know in the comments. Is that part abnormal? And if I'm tripping, if the AI was hallucinating, please let me know that too. But, yeah, like, can you see your nose? If you're a person with normal vision, put a comment below and tell me, can you see your nose? Like, do you have to try to see your nose? If you cross your eyes, can you see your nose? Can you just always see your nose like I can? Yeah, I would be really interested. And I wonder how much, I wonder if there's a way. I'm sure there is. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to figure out how to live a day in the life of somebody who has normal eyes. But like, I can't get my brain to just start doing this filtering that it has never done. I would have to like put on a VR headset, I guess, and go about it that way. But even then, I mean, I would still be seeing the double images. Oh. Anyway, that's all I got. God bless.